Hello and welcome to Dingoes Ate My Podcast Season 2. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
And this week we're discussing the episode Room with a View. And for those of you who are confused by the title, it's written out like that because it was shorthand that was common in newspapers where you would pay like per letter, so everything would get shortened down.
No, that makes complete and perfect sense. And before I go off on a tangent, let's quickly continue.
Okay. This episode originally aired November 2nd, 1999, attracting approximately 5.05 million viewers. So we're a little bit down from the previous week, but not like a ton. Alrighty, Dave.
Terrible, but as it is with this one, I wouldn't be too surprised.
What was the number one movie in America this week, Dave? It is not the same as last week.
Okay, so there was a bit of a change up from then. But now we're starting to head into the winter months and supposed Oscar season. Around that time of the year,
I'll give you a bit of a I guess a bit of a hint. This definitely would not have been an Oscar kind of movie.
Okay, one of those particular ones.
I mean, they might have thought it was, but it turned out quite bad.
The sad thing is, I have something in mind, but I doubt it would be it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Well, try to. I can't exactly remember the title of it. But was it that supposed Passion of the Christ movie that one actor was in?
You mean the Passion of the Christ? That movie was like 2007, I think. That was later. Oh, maybe I don't know exactly. No, it's not that. It's a movie called The Bone Collector.
Yep, drawing a complete blank.
It's Denzel Washington, Angelina Jolie, a bunch of other people. It's it's like a crime thriller kind of deal.
Not surprising, but again, not bringing even a blip on the radar for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, it probably wouldn't for most people. It's got like a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was not a good movie.
Tried to get it with the star power, but the script was not there.
Yeah. So, number one song in America this week. This has not changed. It is still Smooth by Santana featuring Rob Thomas. And finally, moving on to video games. Oh, Dave. Today, the second, this is the best part, was a huge day. And only 2 games came out, and I only care about one of them.
I'm not surprised, mildly questioning it, since I'm not sure exactly what would be around that time.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the game that I don't really care about. That also came out on the same day. It's a game called Asheron's Call, which probably isn't a game that anybody's familiar with. The one interesting thing about it was a very early MMORPG.
Okay. Yeah, I've got nothing.
Yeah, so it came out in November of 99 and remained online until January of 2017.
Well, that's at least a decent amount of time.
That is a long run for an MMORPG that I don't remember.
Yeah, again, when you actually look into it, you'd be surprised how flooded the market would be around that time and with other things, especially with the behemoths that were popular at the time.
This is before any of the big ones, though. Like, you've got Ultima Online and you've got EverQuest, but that's really the market at this point. Like, there's no World of Warcraft, there's no stuff like that. Like, it's still quite a new idea.
Okay, no.
Because World of Warcraft, I want to say is like 2002-ish? 2004.
Okay.
So it's still a good few years away. But yeah, that's not the game that I care about, though. The game I do care about came out on the same day, and it was a PlayStation 1 exclusive. Any ideas what it might be?
That Exclusive.
It's a platformer.
There's only two that I would have in mind, but they're the big, huge two. So taking the stab in the dark, I'm going to say Spyro just from my own personal experience.
I'll give it to you. It's Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage.
Okay.
I love the Spyro games, Dave.
It's understandable. With my PlayStation experience, it was one of the first things I was kind of exposed to with the first one. Didn't have the system or anyone around at the time for the second. And then things just kind of exploded with the third one where younger person was playing it and I watched over the shoulder and was kind of like, oh, I can kind of see how it go along and helping out. So, understandable.
See, I only ever played them... I never played them on the original PlayStation. I only played the Reignited trilogy. But I loved that.
I can understand with their dials. Again, still haven't worked too much with the second or even the Reignited trilogy. My experience is mostly with the oldest version of 3.
Yeah, I've... They're great games, though. Anyway.
Very true.
We shall move on to what happened in this episode.
With all the ghostly shenanigans.
Yes. So, basically. Okay. So we start off with Cordelia reenacting her commercial audition to Doyle and wondering why she didn't get the role. The phone rings and the answering machine picks up as Cordelia's friend Aurora leaves a message. Cordelia doesn't want to answer the phone, explaining to Doyle that she doesn't want to talk to anybody until after her career takes off and she has a better apartment. Which, I mean, she does live in a shithole. Doyle wanders... Sorry?
Yeah, it's understandable.
Yeah. Doyle wanders into Angel's office, and Angel reluctantly answers Doyle's questions about Cordelia, reminiscing about her high school reign of terror.
Yeah.
So basically, Cordelia gets back to her apartment. The place, like we said, is a shithole. There's, like, roaches, and some brown goo comes out of the sink. Like, out of the tap.
Perfect for drinking.
Yeah, of course. So Cordelia calls Doyle to take up his offer of a place to stay, but as Doyle goes to answer the phone, he gets attacked by a demon because he owes some money.
Because of course he does.
Well, of course. Cordelia ends up going to spend the night at Angel's place because, well, where else is she gonna go? And she's a real bitch. Like the minute she gets there, and it's very funny.
So very true. Also, don't forget about my suitcase in the hall, please.
I love that. My suitcase is still in the hall, Angel.
And he's just trying to catch every particular thing.
He's like, what the fuck is going on here?
I'm still in a towel, lady. Jeez.
So then we have the next morning, Doyle stops by Angel's apartment and is upset to see that Cordelia spent the night until he finds out that nothing happened between the two of them. It's just that Cordelia had some issues with her apartment.
So very true.
Angel proposes a deal to Doyle that Angel will help take care of his demon issue if he will help Cordelia find a new apartment, which Doyle agrees to. So Doyle and Cordelia go apartment hunting, but Cordelia's way ends up with them finding just more junk. They find a bunch of really shitty places.
All very bad.
Yes.
All the not fun places.
Yes. Doyle finally gets to pick a place to look at and finds, I don't know how she is supposed to afford this apartment. They do mention that it is rent controlled, so it must be dirt cheap, but holy shit, it is nice.
Like, it doesn't even seem like an apartment. It seems like a small little house. Just so
I know,
nice.
it's friggin' massive. And she's like, she's gonna take out a wall, and I'm like, you can't do that if you're a renter. But she's got like a fireplace and shit. It's great.
Just a marvelous place. It almost seems so good to be true. And she mentions it, and it's like, what's the problem with it?
And the like real estate agent's like, nothing. The previous tenant just broke their lease last week. I wonder if there's more to that story than might meet the eye.
The questions.
All right. So we cut to that night when Cordelia's in bed asleep. She's woken up by some strange sounds and stuff in her apartment. The radio gets turned on. The dresser drawer slams. Some weird shit's happening. Cordelia wakes.
Also a levitating bed.
Oh yes, the bed starts levitating, and she starts screaming at whatever's causing this. I'm from Sunnydale. You can't scare me. And then immediately cuts to Cordelia in the fetal position, rocking back and forth in the morning. That's very funny.
So very true. And it's still levitating and whatnot until, not sure if it was exactly hitting a clock or whatnot, but then it's like, oh, it's morning, drops the bed.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's desperate to keep this apartment that, again, I don't know how the fuck this isn't stupidly expensive. She pretends to be unaffected by the flying objects and cold wind that the ghost conjures. Angel and Doyle stop by with housewarming gift, and they're a little shocked. And how did Angel get there? It's the middle of the day.
True, like, I'm not sure if it was either good awnings or whatnot to kind of cover it, or they just had a blanket that they left by the side of the door. At the very least, Doyle was smart enough. It's like, yeah, I maybe want to close the curtains so we don't have someone burst into flames.
It's very good. So, Angel and Doyle quickly realize that the apartment is haunted when the word die starts dripping from the wall in blood. And Cordelia's like, no, I'm not leaving.
No, I love this apartment. You can't make me leave.
Cordelia, the wall says die. It might be, they might not be done. It might say diet.
Which is still very stinging, but still.
It's very good. She's really good in this episode.
So marvelous.
Okay. So, they agree to help her with an exorcism. But Doyle has to go off to pick up some supplies to perform said exorcism. And Angel goes to find Detective Kate Lockley. That the Maud Pearson, the previous tenant, had a fatal heart attack in that apartment, and they think, oh, well, she's the ghost. She died due to suspicious... she died, and then her son Dennis went missing the next day, so they're like, well, he probably killed her somehow, made it look like a heart attack. She's pissed off, she's haunting the place. Oh, right. So Cordelia gets a call from Angel at the office, and Maud's spirit is imitating his voice, causing Cordelia to go back to the apartment, even though, it's still fucking haunted.
Oh man, ghostly encounter.
Yes. Where was I? Mistaking Cordelia for Dennis's fiancée, puzzled by the absence of murders in the building, Angel asks Kate to check for reports of suicide in that apartment. There were several, and calls to the office to warn Cordelia. Doyle answers and reports that she isn't there. He plays back the answering machine, which recorded the call Cordelia took from Angel. Clutching the payphone receiver, Angel says when he hears his voice, "That's not me." We go back to the apartment where Cordelia is being just verbally abused by Maud, and physically too. When Angel and Doyle and Angel burst in, they find Cordelia hanged with an electrical cable. They're able to get her down because she's like on the verge of death. They start to begin the exorcism without Cordelia, who is incoherent and just kind of weeping on the floor because she'd just been attacked by a freaking ghost.
Yeah.
And there's like this huge like cyclone of like debris flying around. It looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
They try to get Cordelia out the door because, holy shit, there's a cyclone of debris in the apartment.
We're not ready to deal with this ghost as of yet.
However, they open the door and there's the demon that was hunting Doyle and two cronies are there with him. They point their guns at them. Angel says to the demon that he agreed to let Doyle pay, and the demon replies, "I lied." Which, I mean, fair fucks to you. Doyle and Angel brawl with the goons while Maud puts Cordelia in the back bedroom to continue tormenting her. However, Maud makes a tactical error by calling Cordelia a bitch. This remark snaps Cordelia back to reality and she begins to fight back, finding her inner strength. As Angel snaps the demon Griff's neck, Cordelia exits the bedroom using a cast iron lamp to knock down the partition, which is a wall that she had previously said she wanted to take out. A little bit of foreshadowing. Revealing a skeleton disintegrating inside the wall. Maud screams in shock, and then in a mystical flashback, the team learns that Maud Pearson prevented Dennis from leaving with his fiancée by bricking him alive inside the wall. Holy shit, that's really dark.
Just a little bit obsessive and crazy.
Yes, yeah. Upon completion, Maud suffered a heart attack and died. Now Maud's spirit stands telling her son that the girl would have ruined his life. However, the angry ghost of her son Dennis roars to the attack, dispersing and banishing his mother's ghost forever. Angel watches Doyle install a new deadbolt on his apartment door. Quietly, he reminds Doyle that he'll need to reveal his background at some point. Meanwhile, Cordelia is raving about her new apartment to Aurora on the phone. She admits that she has a roommate, but she, never sees him. Hearing himself mentioned, the ghost, whom Cordelia affectionately calls Phantom Dennis, gently makes his presence known. She tells him that she is on the phone, and that's meant to be quiet time. It's quite a good little ending sting.
So very true. Just messes with a couple things. It's like, hey, don't take it that. Dennis, this is quiet time. No TV.
It's
Sorry, where
good.
was that? So on the one hand, I'm mildly terrified because Cordelia kind of has her inner bitch back, and whether or not that's going to be a terrifying thing or bringing forth shenanigans, I suppose we'll have to see.
I feel like not really from memory, but I couldn't say for sure.
I think aside from that, it was interesting enough with how the story, mostly with Cordelia, but as well as Doyle's, kind of worked, interconnected, had some interesting play within the story. But I think just at the very most was just the wonderful traditions of house possessions and a ghost messing with people. And especially with that style of ghost, it's not the particular one that does any sort of particular action to cause damage to the person or kill them indirectly or any other sort of way. They verbally talk you down, put all the blame upon you, enough that it drives you to suicide.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just like, yes. It reminds me of many things that make me laugh.
Yes. So, fun little note. This will not be the only appearance of Phantom Dennis.
Well, I'm not surprised. It's Cordelia's roommate. I'm sure he's going to be doing some other things if her apartment is still within the show.
Yes. So he will pop up over the next couple of years.
At just sort of occasional occasions of Dennis!
Actually, he's going to be kind of useful.
Yeah, not too surprised. Again, sort of seeing with how things kind of go. Like, again, very happy for him that he kind of gave his mom the comeuppance that she needed for what she did. But also a case of, is it the case that he might be better or worse than? We might have to see.
So, there's a fun little Easter egg in this episode where Doyle mentions that Cordelia's diploma is burnt.
Oh, yes. The description of that is like, your diploma is kind of burnt.
Well, yeah, Cordelia says that it was a rough graduation, obviously referring to the battle against the mayor in Graduation Day Part 2. It also, if you want to be like a hyper nerd, if you look really close at the diploma, you'll see that like there's two lines where it's supposed to be signed, one by the principal and one by the mayor. The principal is signed by an R. Schneider, who was the principal at the time, and there's a blank spot for the signature of the mayor of Sunnydale, who at the time was trying to eat all of the students because he was a demon.
Yeah, kind of busy at the time, and just with how he kind of was, I'm not sure how well he would be able to hold a pen.
Yeah, well, he was kind of a snake demon at the time.
Hmm.
Alrighty, is there any other fun... Well, we've got some international titles for this one, but none of them are terribly fun. So,
Sad.
yeah. So in German, it just translates as room with a view. And in French, it's just Cordelia's apartment.
Interesting at all. My goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing really... One little note that I do have, Charisma Carpenter, who plays Cordelia, lists this episode as one of her personal favorites. Which I can totally see, because it's very much a Cordelia-centric episode. And there aren't many of those.
Yeah, not too surprised.
And she does get a lot of good scenes in it, so I can understand.
So very true.
Alrighty, so Dave, did you have anything else about this episode?
No, I think at most... No, I think it's just very good effects with all they did with the apartment, all the particular stuff that they moved, did, especially with the one particular effect that they first sort of showed off with the apartment of, oh, this place is amazing. Okay, what's wrong with it? Nothing's wrong with it. They leave the apartment, face comes out of the wall.
Oh, yeah, they do. They do the Nightmare on Elm Street effect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with that movie, but if you watch the first Nightmare on Elm Street, there's a moment where you see Freddy Krueger's like peering over Nancy's bed, and it's the same effect. Yeah, it's just, I think it's just like a piece of latex or something that they use for the wall, and then they just lean into it. It is a cool effect though. It looks really good.
So very true. I'm not sure if it was the same effect, but it always reminds me of that one particular scene from trying to remember the title of it right. Damn, I watched the series with you and I can't specifically remember it now. Twin Peaks, there it is.
Okay. I don't remember anything like that in Twin Peaks, but there could have been.
It was just that one little particular scene where just at the end of the very last episode of one of the first seasons, just that last little scene of one of the characters either passing away or whatnot, and then just her face coming out of the wall and whatnot, and they're just being like, ew, there's shenanigans happening.
I don't remember this, but okay.
It's kind of just the one particular scene, and it hardly ever happens again. But I always remember it. It's just like, she's in horrible torment. So sad.
Alrighty. So next week, we'll be talking about the episode Sense and Sensitivity. So Angel is going to try to help Kate, the detective, nab a dangerous mobster. This is going to result in Kate and her precinct having to take sensitivity training, which is going to have...
terrible.
Wolfram and Hart is involved in this sensitivity training.
Oh.
So we'll have to see how that goes. So until next time, I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.